So today we are going to discuss about the core of the embedded system. So as embedded system is having memory, core, and communication interfaces as the important parts of it. So what process or what microprocessor or application specific or PLD which can be used as the core of the embedded system? That's what we are going to discuss today. So here embedded systems are as we already discussed about, these embedded systems are used one embedded system for one application. Embedded systems are application specific, they are domain specific. Yes or no? So if you are using an embedded system for one application, it is only used for that particular application only. Okay, one embedded system is designed for one application can't be applied for the another application or another domain. That's why we can call the embedded system as application specific or domain specific. Here, the embedded systems are domain and application specific are built around a central core. The core of the embedded systems can be fall into any one of these four categories. Okay, so the first category is general purpose and domain specific processor. Means either microprocessor or microcontroller or digital signal processor can be used as the core of the embedded system. And second thing is application specific integrated circuits can also be used as a core of the embedded system. Programmable logic devices can also be used as a core of the embedded system. Along with that, commercial off-the-shelves can also be usually called as COTS can also be used as the core of the embedded system. Okay. So here, if we can come to the general purpose and domain specific process, so either microprocessors, these are classified into three categories. There is microprocessors, microcontrollers, and digital signal processors. So almost 80% of the embedded systems will use the either general purpose or domain specific processors as the core of the embedded system. So remaining 20% might be used as the ASICs, PLDs, and CORDs as the core of the embedded system. So 80% of the embedded systems will use the processor as the microprocessor or microcontroller and digital signal processor. And most of the embedded system, the industrial control and monitoring applications will commonly use these general purpose or domain specific as the core of the embedded system. So whereas the domains which requires signal processing, such as speech coding, if the application belonging to speech coding or speech recognition, etc., make use of these domain specific signal process supplied by manufacturers like Analog Devices and Texas Instruments. So these devices which can be used as the core of the embedded system can be manufactured either from the Analog Devices will be preferred from the Texas, mostly from the Texas Instruments are preferred. And second category is application specific integrated circuits. So as the name itself indicates, they are only used for a specific application or a specific domain. Okay, so this microchip designed to perform a specific or unique application, and it is used as a replacement to conventional general purpose logic device. Okay, so as our embedded system is an application specific or domain specific, we can prefer these application specific integrated circuit as the core of the embedded system. If it is belonging to one application, if it is belonging to a unique application, and one of the added feature of this application specific integrated circuit is that it can be able to integrate several functions into a single chip. So that what is happening because of this integration, the development cost is reducing here. Okay, this is one of the advantages of application specific integrated circuits. And third category is the programmable logic devices. Actually, the logic devices are used to perform these data communication or to establish the communication between the device and device, and for the signal processing and display of the data and timing control applications or operations. These logic devices are used for a specific functions. It also provides a specific function, and there are two types of logic devices are available. That is a fixed logic device and programmable logic devices. And these fixed logic devices are permanent. Means that once they are manufactured, that's it. There is no chance of reprogramming it. There is no chance. The user can't be able to reprogram it. Whereas in the second case, there is a programmable logic device. There are two categories. programmable logic devices and fixed logic devices. Whereas in the case of fixed logic devices, they are permanent once they are designed and manufactured. That's it. There is no chance of reprogramming. It is not possible here. Fixed logic devices are the set of functions once manufactured, they can't be changed. Whereas the case of programmable logic device, which offers the customers a wide range of logical capacity of features, a speed and voltage characteristics. Okay, when compared to the fixed logic devices, and that's why we are preferring the programmable logic devices as the core of the embedded system for our application or for a specific domain applications. And fourth category of the core of the embedded system is the commercial off-the-shelf components. And these commercial off-the-shelf components are only used for low-end applications, very low-end applications. And one more thing is, along with any one of the above core of the embedded system, like along with the PLDs, along with the ASICs, it can also be used as the application or co-processor, can be used as a co-processor. But as the single core of the processor, these commercial off-the-shelf can't be used for the high-end applications. Only for the low-end applications like electronic toys, kids toys, no. In that, these commercial off-the-shelves can be used. And these commercial off-the-shelves can be used as is this. I mean, readily available in the market, readily used. I mean, you just buy it in the market and use as it is. Okay. And that is one of the advantages of this commercial off-the-shelf components. And these cards products are designed in such a way to provide easy integration and easy interoperability with existing system components. This is one of the advantages of these cards when compared to remaining core of the embedded systems. And the COTS component itself may be developed around a general purpose or domain specific process. That means along with the application specific integrated circuits, or along with the general purpose process, along with the domain specific process, or along with the programmable logic device, this can be used as a co-processor. This COTS can be used as a co-processor. And typical examples of these commercial off-the-shelf components the remote control by toy cars you can consider. Okay. And RF circuitry part of this toys are high performance, high frequency microwave electronic device, UV, IR detectors. These are all considered the examples of commercial off-the-shelf components. And next thing is sensors and actuators. Sensors and actuators. What is sensor and what is actuator, and how these devices are used in the embedded system. A sensor here, along with the core of the embedded system, along with the memory unit of the embedded system and the communication interfaces, which establish the communication with the external world or with the internal component within the components of the embedded system. Here it also requires some of the input components and output components, some of the input and output components, whereas these input components are called as sensors. So sensors are the input components of the embedded system. Sensors are the input components of the embedded system. What is the definition of the sensor, and what are the examples of the sensors? I mean, so which are all the devices can be used as the input device of the embedded system? If you see that a sensor is this transducer device that converts the energy from one form to another form. Another form means that for any form of the measurement for the controlling purpose. Okay, here the sensor is a transducer device that converts energy from one form to measurable form. Another form, that is measurable form, for any control application, for any control operation purpose. Okay. And these sensors can be used as input device. Why these sensors are used as input device? For example, if you consider the air conditioner, so it requires sensors, RF sensors are required to set the required temperature, and also temperature sensors are required to, to capture the data related to the what is the room temperature, available room temperature, and the required desired temperature and the room temperatures are same or not. Okay, to compare that, if there is any difference, I mean any errors are occurred, the output device will be on. What is the output device in the case of the air conditioner? The compressor is the output device. If you consider here, the compressor will be on if the room temperature and the desired temperature is not same. Is no, till that error becomes zero, till that temperature becomes same, the output transducer, that is output actuator, that is the output compressor will be in on position. Okay, once the temperature becomes the same, the desired temperature and the room temperature becomes same, then it will enter into off state. Okay, so here that compressor which is using it outside, that outdoor is nothing but actuator here. That is the output device. So actuator is the output device. That is also in the form of transducer that converts the signal to corresponding physical action. The corresponding physical action. Okay, so always these actuators are act as the output devices. So here sensors are transducer device that converts the energy from one form to another for any measurement or control purpose. Actuator is a form of the transducer device which converts the signal to corresponding physical action. So all the devices which can be used as input device can be considered as the sensors, and all the devices which can be considered as output device like buzzers, LCDs, LEDs, those are can be considered as output devices, and keypad, keyboards, no, and switches, this can be considered as the input devices. Along with that core of the embedded system memory units, the main part of the embedded system is the communication interfaces. So how many types of communication interfaces are available, and what is the use of these communication interfaces, and what are the different lines or the signals used to establish the communication, we are going to discuss now. So there are two types of communication interface are available: onboard communication interface and external communication interface. So this onboard communication interface is also called as device level or board level communication interface. And this external communication interface is also called as product level communication interface. As the name itself indicates, onboard communication interface means it establishes the communication between the peripherals on the board inside the embedded system. External communication interface means it establishes the communication with the external devices and external peripherals or with the external world. So here, some of the examples of the onboard communication interfaces you can consider as the I2C, that is inter-integrated circuit, and second category is serial communication interface or serial peripheral interface. It is also called as SPI, serial peripheral interface or serial communication interface. And third category is universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter, UART, universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter. And fourth category is one wire communication. And fifth type of the onboard communication interface is parallel communication. And we are going to discuss about each thing in detail. First one is I2C, that is inter-integrated circuits. And you can see here how this what are the different lines are used and what are the different devices and the master slaves are involved in this type of communication interface. You can see here microprocessor or microcontroller can be used as a core of the embedded system, right? So here, this microcontroller can be used as a master, and all the devices which need to which are connected to this master node, that devices are called as slaves. Okay, so in this diagram you can see microcontroller is the master. So this communication is the master slave communication, and also it supports the half duplex communication. We already know that what is half duplex, full duplex, and simplex, right? So that three types of communications are communication interfaces are types of communications are possible. In the case of half duplex, no, so both the master and slave or both the transmitter and receiver can be able to transmit the data, but not at the same time. Okay, so it supports the half duplex communication interface, and microcontroller is the master here, and all the devices which are connected to this master called as device 1, device 2, device 3. No, these are all called as slaves, and only one device can be connected at a time, and remaining device will be disabled. So the lines which are used to establish communication between these master and slaves are called as serial lines. Okay, there are two types of serial lines are possible here. You can see in the diagram SDA and SCL. These two are the lines which are used to establish the communication between the slaves and master. Okay. So SCL means here serial clock signal. SDA means serial data. Okay. So because it supports a synchronous communication. Synchronous communication means it requires a clock signal to synchronize the transmitter device and the receiver device to synchronize the both transmitter and receiver. So serial clock is required here. And SDA is the signal which a line which is used to transmit the data from the either from the master to slave or from the slave to master. And next category is the serial peripheral interface or serial communication interface. It also supports the master slave communication. And here to establish the communication between the master and slave, it uses the multiple signals or multiple lines. You can see here serial clock is also required here. Why? Because it also supports the synchronous communication. So clock signal is required to synchronize both the transmitter and the receiver. And along with that, it also uses the MOSI, that is the master out serial in, master out slave in signal, master in slave out MISO signal, and slave select. Totally here four signals or four lines are used to establish the communication between the master and the slave or between the devices. They are the clock signals, serial clock signals to synchronize the transmitter and receiver or master and slave. Second thing is the master out serial in signal, means it is a signal which is coming up from the master. That may be a microcontroller or microprocessor. Okay, so from the microcontroller to the devices which are connected to the microcontroller. Okay, we are calling that devices as the slaves. And third signal is the MISO, the master in slave out. This is a signal from the slave. Okay, so that is the signal line which carries the data from the slave to the master. And slave select. So multiple devices can be connected to the master at a time. As I know that multiple device we can call it as a slaves, and only one device can be selected at a time. That is, one slave can be selected, one slave can be in the enable mode, and remaining all are in the disable mode. That is about the serial peripheral interface. And next one is the UART, Universal Asynchronous Receiver and Transmitter. As the name itself indicates here, it supports the asynchronous communication, won't support the synchronous communication. So we won't require here the clock pulses to synchronize, right? So without clock signal, how the synchronization is possible in between the transmitter receiver, that we'll see here. So here you can see the direct connection between the transmitter of the sender. GPS is a sender here and microcontroller is a receiver here. Otherwise, it is the master or it is a slave, we can also consider. Huh? Okay, so directly you can see the transmitter line or the transmitter signal of the transmitter is directly connected to the receiving pin of the receiver, and the transmitter pin of the receiver is directly connected to the receiving pin of the transmitter. So here the synchronization is possible by directly connecting the transmitter and receiving pin of both sender and transmitter, and it supports the asynchronous communication. Next is the one wire communication. As the name itself indicates, only one wire is used here to establish the communication. That one line is called as one wire is called as DQ wire, and it is manufactured by the and it is manufactured by the Microsoft companies. Only one wire here it is used. As the name itself indicates, one wire communication, only single wire DQ wire is used to establish the communication between the masters and the slaves or the device which are connected. Here the microcontroller is the master, and you can see here only one line is used here to establish the communication between the microcontroller and the sensors. Here we are connecting the multiple devices, those are the temperature sensors. One wire temperature sensor, second device and third device. Like that, multiple devices can be connected through only one wire. Parallel communication interface. Last communication interface is the parallel communication interfaces. There are in data transmission, usually two types of interfaces can be, two types of data transmission is possible actually. One is serial communication, parallel communication. Serial communication and parallel data communication. The difference between, you can see in this diagram here, in the case of serial data communication, a single line or a serial data is transmitted serially bit by bit. Okay, you can see here a single line is connected between the transmitter and receiver. Only bit by bit transmission is possible. At a time, only one single bit is transmitted from the transmitter to receiver. In the case of parallel data transmission, multiple bits can be transmitted at the same time from the transmitter to the receiver. You can see here several lines are connected between the transmitter and receiver. Because of that, what is happening? No, at a time, either 1 byte of data, that is 8 bits of data, can be transmitted parallelly. A single, while serial communication in the, when the serial communication data communication can be able to transmit 1 bit at a time. In the meantime, in the same time, in the case of parallel data transmission, multiple bits can be transmitted. Okay, so there is also one disadvantage regarding this parallel communication. If the transmitter receiver are placed apart, the distance between the transmitter and the receiver is more. Then what is happening? No, the multiple lines are the wires which are using between the transmitter and receiver should be, are also more number of cables are required. Means for a long distance, we need to use the multiple number of cables, which become, the cost of the wire become more. A number of lines and the cost of the signals, or cost of the cables are more here. So that is regarding the communication interfaces. So we discussed regarding the core of the embedded system, means what all the process or what all the devices can be used as the core of the embedded system, and what are the input devices of the embedded system, and what are the output devices for the embedded system, and what are all the what are the different communication interfaces are used to establish the communication between the transmitter and the receiver. Okay, so totally there are 5 types of core device can be used as the core of the embedded system. Either general purpose or domain specific can be used. Under that, either microprocessor, microcontroller, digital signal process can be used, and along with that, application specific integrated circuits, programmable logic device, commercial off the shelves can also be used. And next is the sensors and actuators. Sensors are the always input devices which are used to capture the information from the external world and converts that data to and convey that to the embedded system. And second thing is the actuators, which can be used, which are called as the output devices. Actuators are the output devices always. And next is the communication interfaces. Communication interfaces are used to establish the communication, maybe a onboard communication or external communication interfaces. Both are used to establish the communication. And next is the memory types. These memory types of the embedded system can be discussed in the next class.